What's going on, everybody? This is going to be an overview of Street Fighter V and a should you buy a review for the game. Now, right away, I want to say I apologize for the way the volume may sound because I am using a different method of recording. However, of course, I'm going to clean and edit out the footage and the audio so that everything comes off as professional as possible. But if it's not to somebody's quality liking, then I do apologize because it's not my standard setup, okay? It is my birthday and I'm currently not in town, or where I should be, should I say, and I was able to record this in a different way. So let's get into this review, or should I say overview, of Street Fighter V and should you buy it, because there's a lot to talk about as far as what you get on day one versus what comes down the pipeline. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, first of all, the Street Fighter story mode. Let's talk about that because apparently on February 16th, when Street Fighter V releases, there will be actual cinematic stories, but it will not have a full cinematic story mode. Now, apparently sometime in June of 2016, Street Fighter V is supposed to be receiving a full-fledged story rumored to be rivaling that of Mortal Kombat X, because everybody knows that Mortal Kombat X had a pretty good story, and apparently the people over at Capcom decided to actually add this into Street Fighter because this is something that people have wanted for quite a long time. Okay, so far as what we know is the story of Street Fighter. The story of Street Fighter V actually is a prequel to Street Fighter 4 and takes place between Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 4. The events of this Street Fighter surround a secret organization other than Shadowloo that is being referred to as something like the Illuminati. This organization has been planning to take over the world, and of course, everybody in Street Fighter plays a role of either helping and aiding taking over the world, or destroying it, or preventing this from happening. Of course, we will not know the full story until June, but in the meantime, you do get to play cinematic story modes from individual characters. So with that being said, on day one of release, every character does have a unique cutscene story mode, which is not cinematic, but actually something similar to what you may find on one of the handheld games. Graphics. Let's talk about the graphics in Street Fighter V. Well, actually, this is one of the departments in fighting games where I like to see improvements. In Street Fighter V, in the beginning when I first saw it, was looking very similar to that of Street Fighter 4. But due to updates and polishing and me following this game from E3 up until now, I can honestly say with a sure stance that the graphics have been improved dramatically between Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, and it definitely has a next-gen feel. The game was running at 60 frames per second when I played it, and I definitely felt the difference there, and it was enjoyable and it felt fluid on both PS4 and PS3. Now, there's a lot of colors added to the game, and the graphics are very colorful and popping. Now, of course, it is still a 2D standard game, so there's not much they can do as far as the environments and what happens. But the actual background stages and detail to the background stages are very impressive. My favorite stage so far is the New York City stage, where you see Alex in the background and you see the NYPD police cars. There's a lot of details to the backgrounds, and it's not just bland Street Fighter random things happen, and the events and environments change, and you notice it, and you see differences in night and day cycles and things of that nature, and it makes the backgrounds pretty cool. I actually enjoyed the FPS and how it went fluidly with the mechanics of the backgrounds and how things move, and graphically I was pretty impressed. This game definitely gives that next generation graphical feel, and it doesn't feel like a port or anything like that. This is truly a next generation Street Fighter game graphically. Okay, let's talk about controls for a second. The controls for Street Fighter are not really much to talk about, as you have two different unique skills now for the game. In Street Fighter 4, you had your focus attack, but in this one, you have your V skill. Your V skill for every character is unique and very different. Like, say for instance, Ryu, when you use his V skill is actually the famous parry that he's known for doing from Street Fighter 3. And if you take the V skill from Vega, Vega's parry is Fim dodging something like projectiles, and so on and so forth. Usually the V skill is exactly similar as far as the trait and quality of what it can do. However, all of them have a unique attribute to the skill. Now, of course, the other function is their special when you press all three buttons. Of course, you can add this to the fourth optional special button if you use a fight stick. And these are the differences between the controls versus the traditional Street Fighter, where you have your light punch, medium punch, and heavy punch, and vice versa with kick. And you have your grab and so forth and so on, and your usual specials where you do your supers and things of that nature. So they actually made the controllers more casual friendly this time around. I do know that there's some people that were not happy about that, but me, however, I'm a person that does not want to get heavily invested into a whole bunch of nonsense with this controller, and I actually prefer this scheme to Street Fighter 4, believe it or not, which surprised me, because this game felt like Street Fighter 3 to me, except on next generation. So it's kind of good that they changed it up and they added these new features in. I do miss some of the functionality of the controls from Street Fighter 4. However, I feel like the substitution that was made is well worth it, and the control scheme for Street Fighter 5 is to my liking. Now, if you're somebody that feels like you have to be a pro to play Street Fighter, they made it very casual friendly, and people like that can actually get on this game and learn how to play and probably do a little button mashing and give somebody a run for their money. However, if you're willing to invest time in this control scheme, you can definitely become a professional and do what you have to do. So I like how hardcore and casual can meet up with this control scheme, and everybody can play and have a good time, because at the end of the day, it's all about having fun and not feeling like you have to learn how to study for a test to play fighting games, which we started seeing in the fighting game community. And I'm glad to see that Street Fighter has took it back to having fun aspect of a fighting game. And I actually, as a fan of fighters, agree with this controller scheme, and I'm happy to see that. Okay, let's move on to the features. Now, the features, I'm going to talk about a lot of the stuff that is going to be available in the game, and this is where the should you buy a portion of the review starts to take effect and take place. Now, on day one, when you buy Street Fighter, you're going to get a set amount of characters. However, you will not be getting the full roster, as everybody knows. The full roster of characters that you will be getting, everybody knows who they are, so I won't actually run down the list. I can just have this showing in the background for you. However, though, you will be getting an additional 6 characters. Now, the problem with this is we get into the DLC and there's a season pass, and I have to break down the features because there's currently a currency system involved in Street Fighter and how you will unlock these characters. Now, let's get into how these characters are purchasable versus unlockable. Street Fighter has a currency called fight money, and the fight money in the game, as they referred to it before, was known to as fight money. It's called Zenny. You can purchase Zenny to buy things in Street Fighter, and the minimum purchase would be 100 Zenny, or should I say 100 fight money, and that is equivalent to actually $1 American dollar. The difference in currencies goes from 100 to 550, which is equivalent to $5. Now, of course, they have it already set up where if you buy $5 worth of Zenny, you receive an additional 50 Zenny. So they're saying 600. Now, the reason they have this set up is because if you pay $5 for Zenny, you get 600 Zenny. Now, what is happening with the character breakdown is that every character that will be available to you, you can pay fight money, which is Zenny, and every character is going to be 600 Zenny, or should I say $600 in fight money. Right away, I'm kind of looking at the Zenny situation, wondering how much do you have to accrue in order to get a character, because it sounds like there's a lot of grinding to actually get a character. Now, they're going to give you a month in between characters for you to get this done, but it makes me wonder, because if you don't want to go through the hustle and bustle of paying for Zenny, which you can buy yourself, or just earning fight money, you can buy a season pass for Street Fighter, which is $30 American. And of course, in the season pass, it will include all of these characters. So of course, if you buy the season pass, as soon as the character is available, you will automatically have access to it without having to go to the store and buy it or do any of these things. Of course, we don't know the full details of what the season pass DLC includes, but according to my understanding, the season pass DLC should expand past 2016. However, looking at how Street Fighter has taken the approach of doing season passes and characters being given to you every month up until September, it makes me wonder if they're going to go to Killer Instinct route and have season passes every year. Whereas Killer Instinct had a season pass for season 1, you buy it, you get access to all the stuff for season 1, then you get a season pass for season 2 and season 3, and I can kind of see this just being a trend in the fighting games. And honestly, I don't really like it, because at the beginning, it makes you wonder if Street Fighter was ever finished. It was a situation where people were wondering how this game could come out so fast, but now we have the answer. The game apparently is coming out so fast because it's not finished. So right away, when you buy Street Fighter on February 16th, you're gonna get access to the fight lobby. And the fight lobby is supposed to be 8 characters, but it will not be 8 characters in February. It will be 2 characters. Now, it's supposed to have a spectator mode, but just like Street Fighter 4 when it released, the spectator mode and the increase in the amount of people in the lobby will be updated in March, along with the bonus character. The bonus character, of course, being revealed to be Alex. Alex is supposed to also be available with this update. Now, this is supposedly going to happen in March, but it makes me wonder if the game should be released in March. Why they're deciding to do this way, who knows, but they actually did this with Street Fighter 4. So apparently, this is how this is going to go as far as the breakdown of who the characters are and what we have going on. Okay, so if you don't want this spoiled right now, who the 6 characters are, as this is part of the featured section and me explaining the DLC, you can just skip ahead about 30 seconds because I'm just going to read off the list of who the characters are. And they're not in a released order, but this is in the order of how they were revealed. And this may actually be how they come out, but hopefully we'll see. But one of them I'm very excited for. So let's get into the list. Alex, which was already revealed to be the next character coming in March. Next, we have Guile. Guile is somebody I really want to see in this game due to the fact that he has a different playstyle than Charlie now. Balrog is somebody I definitely want to see return. Ibuki is another character coming back. Jury is coming back, and Uran. And Uran is somebody that a lot of people wanted to see. Now, if I'm saying his name wrong, I apologize, because the Street Fighter 3 characters I were not too familiar with. Street Fighter 3 was the one Street Fighter I wasn't able to really get my hands on because it came out on a console I wasn't playing it on. So with that being said, let's go into the should you buy a portion of the review. Let's break all of this down and let's talk about it. Okay, honestly speaking, due to the fact that Street Fighter 5 is one of my favorite franchises and fighting games Capcom can do no wrong, they actually have done wrong here. This game clearly was not meant to be released now, and due to the fact that companies want you to invest money into their games before their games are finished due to the internet and available updates, we are paying for an unfinished game. Do I think this is correct? No. Do I think it's right? Actually, I do not. Do I think you should buy Street Fighter? Well, it depends. If you're a fan of the series like me and you want to invest in a company and you want to see Capcom continue to make Street Fighter content, then yes, you should drop the $60 or whatever it is in the country you're in to actually get the game and get your DLC. However, I'm one of those people that does not believe tomorrow is promised. Paying for games and not getting your full game on day one is kind of like saying you're gonna live forever. Who's to say we'll ever get to see the rest of the content in this game, or this company will go belly up, or the network could crash, or anything like this could happen? A lot of these game developers are currently relying too much on internet and the fact that there will be a tomorrow when nothing is promised. But just knowing that you're gonna get a game without a story mode and you're not gonna have characters, it makes you feel like the game is really being rushed and unfinished. Now, the only reason that I know the game is actually pretty good on day one is because I've tried it out and I was following this game since E3. And I know that the game came a long way and it is polished pretty well. So I'm willing to invest and get a copy of Street Fighter, which is not a bad thing for me. But for those of you who have concerns and understand what I'm saying, if you're not a huge fan of the series, then maybe you should consider this. This is that companies are doing that I don't think is right. This is similar to something else. But I won't get into details onto what companies right and wrong because this is a review, or should I say overview, of Street Fighter 5. What I will say to you guys, however, is that the game is definitely not finished and it has a lot of content left out. The fight money currency situation, the DLC pass on top of the $60, it's all a lot for a game that's not finished. And they want a lot of money up front from you. And I feel like if they're gonna start doing this, then they need to actually give you a good reason to put so much money into a game that's not even going to be finished when it releases. Should Capcom have released Street Fighter in February? Probably not. Should you buy it? You should probably wait till March if you're not a huge fan of the series. And this is just an honest opinion due to the fact that the game is not finished and we don't know what could happen. It's your boy Jimmybgaming. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about Street Fighter. Is it worth it? Is it something that you want to get? Do you think game companies should do this? Is this a good way to get games without having to wait a long time? Are games starting to be net coded or framed, released, and then filled in later? What's going on? So let me know what you guys think in the comments comment section. This is an overview of Street Fighter. It's not a full review. It is an overview of all of the content, which is not much. So I couldn't do a full review because it's not a full game. And this is just me being honest. Now, I followed the game for a year and this is my thoughts. Like I said, let me know if you're going to get it. Let me know if you're not. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And before I go, for those of you who have PS3 controllers, you can take your PS3 fight stick and actually plug it into your PS4 and play with that controller as long as you have a DualShock 4 controller plugged into the other port. So hopefully this helps you guys to save money. Or you can watch my video where I unbox the Cronus Max and I do a review and I explain how to use that to bring over your controller from any other system to use for Street Fighter on PS4. And the controller does work without any hiccups currently, if any of you don't want to know. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Also check out my videos on Street Fighter 5. I will be uploading a lot of content. You should have seen the videos before this where I showed you the story modes for the characters. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm out of here. Peace.